Listen closely, Black Visor scum. You've made two mistakes tonight, Maddox Stone growled, his voice low and menacing, crackling through the comms channel like a distant thunderstorm. First, you took someone who doesn't belong to you. Second, you underestimated me. Static buzzed on the line for a moment before a guttural, alien laugh responded. It belonged to Draxol, the gang's so-called enforcer, a towering Xyrillian with skin like polished obsidian and eyes that burned a molten red. Maddox Stone, Draxol sneered, you're bold to call us directly. Do you really think your threats mean anything here? We're the Black Visor. We own New Vexus. No one crosses us and lives to tell the tale. Maddox leaned back against the cockpit of his ship, the Knight's Hard, a sleek, battle-scarred vessel that had seen more skirmishes than most star cruisers in the quadrant. His ice-blue eyes scanned the holographic display, zeroing in on the location of the gang's stronghold, a sprawling fortress nestled deep within the underbelly of New Vexus. The neon-soaked city buzzed with criminal activity, its towering skyscrapers casting long shadows over the winding, labyrinthine streets below. I'm not here to trade words, Maddox said coldly. I'm here to deliver an ultimatum. Release the princess. Now, or I'll burn your little empire to the ground. There was a pause, followed by another laugh. This time, it was deeper, more resonant, a sound that could only belong to Morvok, the Black Visor's leader. A Lutherian with four segmented arms and a face like a nightmare, Morvok had a reputation for cruelty that stretched across galaxies. The princess? Morvok rumbled, his voice dripping with mockery. You mean the little royal brat who thought she could waltz into our territory without consequences? She's ours now, Stone. And if you think you can take her back, you're welcome to try. But know this, you won't leave here alive. Maddox's lips curled into a faint smirk. I've heard that one before. He cut the comms, the smirk fading as he turned his attention back to the task at hand. The rescue mission was personal, not because he had any particular love for royalty, but because of what the princess represented. She wasn't just another hostage. She was a symbol of hope for a fractured galaxy. And Maddox, despite his reputation as a ruthless mercenary, had a code, a line he wouldn't cross. Innocence didn't deserve to suffer. With a flick of his wrist, he activated the ship's stealth mode. The Knight's Hard shimmered briefly before disappearing from view, blending seamlessly with the starry expanse. Maddox's fingers danced over the controls, plotting a course to the gang's stronghold. His mind raced through potential strategies, each one more dangerous than the last. He thrived on danger, thrived on the impossible. That's what made him the best. As the ship descended into the chaotic depths of New Vexus, Maddox's thoughts were interrupted by the chirp of his onboard AI, Jex, a snarky yet reliable program he'd cobbled together from salvaged tech. You know, Maddox, Jex said, his voice dripping with artificial sarcasm. This might be a good time to reconsider your life choices. Storming an alien gang's fortress? Alone? Really? Not now, Jex, Maddox muttered, his focus unwavering. Just saying, Jex continued. I'd hate for your illustrious career to end because you got turned into a decorative wall piece. Or worse, a chew toy for Draxol. Maddox ignored him, his jaw tightening as the fortress came into view on the display. It was an imposing structure, bristling with turrets and guarded by an army of Black Visor thugs. The perimeter was swarming with Xyrillians, Lutherians, and other alien species, each one more dangerous than the last. He scanned the defenses, noting the weak points. The main gate was heavily fortified, but the eastern wall had a blind spot, a small ventilation shaft that led directly into the lower levels of the fortress. It would be a tight fit, but Maddox wasn't one to shy away from a challenge. All right, Jex, he said, his voice steady. Let's get to work. As he prepared to make his move, a message flashed on the display. Incoming transmission. Maddox frowned, hesitating for a moment before accepting the call. The screen flickered to life, revealing the face of an alien woman with emerald green skin and iridescent eyes. She was a Drathian, one of the galaxy's most elusive species, known for their telepathic abilities and uncanny knack for survival. Maddox Stone, she said, her voice calm yet urgent. My name is Kaelira. I'm an ally of Princess Aelira. If you're planning to rescue her, you'll need my help. Maddox raised an eyebrow. And why should I trust you? Kaelira's gaze didn't waver. Because I've been inside that fortress. I know its secrets. And because, whether you like it or not, you can't do this alone. Maddox studied her for a moment before nodding. Fine. But if this is a trap, you won't live to regret it. Kaelira's lips curved into a faint smile. Understood. And with that, the stage was set. Maddox Stone, the galaxy's most feared mercenary, and Kaelira, a mysterious ally with her own agenda, were about to embark on a mission that would shake the criminal underworld of New Vexus to its core. The ventilation shaft was as narrow as Maddox had anticipated. Clad in his reinforced exosuit, he slithered through the tight space, his every movement calculated and silent. Kaelira's voice crackled softly in his earpiece. Once you're inside, you'll find yourself in the sublevel maintenance tunnels, she said. They're lightly guarded, but don't get complacent. The Black Visor's security drones are programmed to shoot on sight. I've handled worse, Maddox replied. His tone as steady as ever. Overconfidence can get you killed, Stone, Kaelira warned. Stick to the plan, and we'll both make it out alive. Maddox didn't respond. He focused on the task at hand, his senses heightened as he reached the end of the shaft. With a careful push, he removed the grate and dropped into the dimly lit tunnel below. The air was thick with the stench of machinery and decay, the hum of distant generators reverberating through the narrow corridor. Kaelira's guidance proved invaluable as Maddox navigated the maze-like tunnels. She directed him past patrolling guards and automated turrets, her telepathic abilities allowing her to sense threats before they appeared. Despite his initial skepticism, Maddox had to admit she was a valuable asset. As they approached the holding cells, Kaelira's voice took on a more urgent tone. The princess is in the central chamber, but it's heavily guarded. You'll need a distraction. Leave that to me, Maddox said. He pulled a small device from his belt, a sonic grenade, and set the timer. With a swift motion, he tossed it down an adjacent corridor. Moments later, a deafening blast echoed through the tunnels, followed by the sound of panicked voices and heavy footsteps. Move, Kaelira urged. Maddox sprinted toward the chamber, his movements a blur as he dispatched the remaining guards with ruthless efficiency. The doors to the central chamber loomed ahead, sealed with a heavy locking mechanism. Kaelira's voice guided him once more. The control panel is on the right. Override the system, and the doors will open. Maddox's fingers flew over the controls, bypassing the security protocols with practiced ease. The doors hissed open, revealing a cavernous room bathed in an eerie red light. At its center, Princess Aelira was suspended in a containment field, her delicate features etched with defiance despite her captivity. Before Maddox could reach her, a familiar figure stepped into view. Draxol, his massive frame blocking the path, his molten red eyes gleaming with sadistic glee. You should have stayed away, Stone, Draxol snarled. Now you'll die with the rest of them. Maddox's grip tightened on his weapon. You talk too much. The showdown was about to begin. Draxol let out a guttural growl, his massive arms flexing as he drew a weapon that looked more like an oversized power hammer fused with alien tech. The air seemed to ripple around it, crackling with raw energy. Maddox Stone didn't flinch. Instead, he took a measured step forward, his plasma blades humming to life with a vibrant blue glow. Big hammer, Maddox said, his tone almost conversational. Overcompensating for something? Draxol roared and charged, the ground beneath him shaking with each step. Maddox sidestepped the first swing with an agility that seemed impossible given the size of his exosuit. The hammer smashed into the floor, leaving a crater in its wake. You're fast, I'll give you that, Draxol sneered, pulling the hammer free with a wrenching motion. But you can't outrun me forever. Maddox smirked, ducking under another wild swing. I don't need to outrun you. I just need to outthink you. With that, he flicked a small device from his belt onto Draxol's weapon. It latched on with a metallic clink. Before the alien brute could react, Maddox leapt backward and pressed a button on his wrist. The device detonated with a flash of blinding light and a burst of electromagnetic energy. Draxol's hammer sparked and fizzled, its once menacing hum now reduced to silence. He stared at the now useless weapon in his hands, rage building in his molten red eyes. "You insolent worm," Draxol bellowed, tossing the hammer aside. "Yeah, I get that a lot," Maddox quipped, launching himself forward. He activated his wrist-mounted grappling hook mid-sprint, the cable wrapping around Draxol's thick neck. With a sharp yank, he vaulted over the brute's head, using the momentum to tighten the cable like a noose. Draxol clawed at the cable, his massive hands trying to pry it loose. But Maddox wasn't giving him the chance. Using the grappling line as leverage, he slammed a plasma blade into the back of Draxol's knee, forcing the giant to buckle. "Stay down, big guy," Maddox said, yanking the line tighter. But Draxol was nothing if not resilient. With a roar that echoed through the chamber, he surged to his feet, snapping the cable like it was made of string. Maddox was thrown backward, skidding across the floor but managing to roll to his feet just in time to dodge a massive fist that cratered the wall behind him. Before Draxol could press his advantage, a sharp blast echoed through the room. The hulking enforcer staggered, clutching his side where a sizzling burn mark now smoked. "Nice shot," Maddox said, glancing toward the source. Kaelira stood at the doorway, her weapon raised, its barrel still glowing from the plasma shot. "Figured you could use a hand." Draxol turned his burning gaze on her, but Maddox seized the distraction. Charging forward, he plunged both plasma blades into Draxol's chest, their glowing edges piercing the thick armor-like skin. The brute let out a strangled roar before collapsing to the ground with a resounding thud. Maddox pulled the blades free, their glow dimming as he deactivated them. "Took you long enough," he said to Kaelira, his tone wry. "You're welcome," she replied, striding into the room. "Let's get the princess and get out of here before reinforcements arrive." The containment field surrounding Princess Aelira shimmered faintly, its energy pulsing in rhythm with the hum of the fortress's power core. Maddox approached the console, controlling the field, his fingers moving deftly across the interface. Within seconds, the energy barrier flickered and dissipated. Princess Aelira stepped forward, her regal demeanor unshaken despite the ordeal. Her silver hair caught the red light, giving her an ethereal glow. She met Maddox's gaze, her eyes filled with gratitude and determination. "You must be Maddox Stone," she said, her voice calm but commanding. "I owe you my thanks." "Save it for when we're off this rock," Maddox replied, turning to Kaelira. "What's the fastest way out?" Kaelira scanned the room, her iridescent eyes flickering as she accessed her telepathic link. "The central lift. It'll take us straight to the surface." "Figures," Maddox muttered. "The most obvious route is always the most dangerous." Alarms suddenly blared, the chamber bathed in flashing red lights. Kaelira tensed. "They know we're here." "Then let's give them a show," Maddox said, gripping his plasma blades tightly. As the trio made their way to the central lift, the corridors erupted into chaos. Black Visor guards swarmed in from all sides, their weapons firing relentlessly. Maddox and Kaelira worked in tandem, their movements a symphony of precision and lethality. Aelira, though unarmed, proved herself capable, using her sharp mind to outmaneuver and disable several guards with improvised tactics. The lift loomed ahead, but it was heavily guarded, a dozen armed Black Visor thugs standing between them and freedom. Maddox glanced at Kaelira. "Got any more surprises up your sleeve?" Kaelira smirked. "As a matter of fact, I do." She reached into her satchel and pulled out a small device, its surface etched with alien runes. Pressing a hidden switch, she tossed it into the midst of the guards. The device erupted in a wave of energy, disorienting the thugs and sending them sprawling. "Go!" Kaelira shouted. They sprinted to the lift, Maddox slamming his fist into the control panel. The doors slid shut just as more guards rounded the corner, their shouts muffled as the lift ascended. As the lift carried them toward the surface, Maddox glanced at the princess. "You holding up?" Aelira nodded. "Thanks to you. But this isn't over. Morvok won't stop until he gets what he wants." Maddox's jaw tightened. "Let him try. He'll learn the hard way that no one messes with Maddox Stone." The lift doors opened to the neon-lit chaos of New Vexus's surface, and the fight for survival continued.